What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of Tyler Perry's Sistas. This is season 3, episode 13, and the episode is titled Water Under the Bridge. Let's jump right into it because, let's be honest, this episode was very slow and nothing really happened. Like, the whole bank situation was supposed to be eventful, but it wasn't. Not at all. So, first of all, we start off right where we left off, and that is with Sabrina finding out that hey, it's a robbery going on at the bank. So Q comes in, he has the gun pointed at Maurice, and he's telling her that she needs to open up the safe. They go back and forth for a while, like the scene was very long. Sabrina's telling him that she can't do it. She can't do it. So Maurice, he's just telling her to do whatever Q says. All this stuff, right? So Sabrina finally says that the only way she's able to open up the vault is if she has to call corporate. They have to see her on camera, and then they'll open it up or whatever. So that's what they do. So another guy comes up. Now he's holding Maurice hostage, and then Q is walking with Sabrina or whatever. They go around to the actual bank side where like the workers are, and she makes a phone call and tells them like, hey, this is Sabrina such and such from whatever bank they are at. My badge number is blah blah blah. And basically she hangs up and tells Q that they have to wait for them to do whatever they have to do on their end. Basically, she told them the code to let them know that the bank was being robbed. And I'm like, thank God for Sabrina being smart enough to do that, because I'm pretty sure Maurice should have known whatever that code was. Now let's go ahead and hop on over to what Zach has going on. So we see that he is now looking at a property. Keep in mind, you guys, Zach just got this money, I want to say the day before. Maybe it's been 2 days that he's had his money. He's already looking to buy this house. I'm just like, the turnaround time that Tyler is giving Zach is ridiculous. I understand that he came into a lot of money, but at the end of the day, how is all his suits tailored to his body already? He already has a new car. He's quit all his jobs. He's buying a house. It's just like too much is happening all at the same time. But I digress. So he goes to look at this property. Now, when he said that he was going to buy a foreclosed house, I thought he meant like the house would already be done. It would just happen to be going through foreclosure. No. He got into this house, and I mean, it's just wood beams up. I said, oh, so you're literally about to be doing construction on this house. So I'm just like, okay, yeah, you're going to be buying a duplex, but now you're going to have to invest money because you have to build it out. Like, I'm sorry, but I thought that Zach was going to get a property that was already done. You know what I'm saying? Maybe change a few things, not fully build it out. Like, the whole point was for him to make more money, not spend it and then possibly make money. But you know what? I didn't write this. Tyler wrote it. Anyways, so the realtor is showing Zach the house or whatever and tells him that he should totally put an offer in because there are other offers already being put up. So he's like, okay, well, let me just make a phone call. Who does he call? Of course, he has to call Fatima and ask her opinion. What's interesting to me is that Zach is moving like a married couple when it comes to the decisions that he's making about the property that he wants to get. Like, I understand that you trust Fatima and you trust her judgment, but like Fatima had to tell him, like, this is your property, this is your house. You need to go ahead and trust your gut and make that decision on your own, because at the end of the day, it's not going to be Zach and Fatima's house. This is going to be Zach's house, and the other half is going to go to somebody else. Whatever. So Zach ends up talking her into coming to see the house or whatever. I'm just like, boy, send her some pictures, because it's not much to this property. It's literally a bunch of beams. I think she'll be okay not seeing it in person. But whatever. So Zach ends up telling the realtor, like, hey, I am interested in purchasing this. I want to put 50% cash down Is that possible or whatever? And she's like, yeah, I'll just see if one of my lenders can, like, work with you on that. I said, okay, cool. Baby girl's trying to make this sale. So she's like, oh, but are you married or seeing anybody? Because, of course, now she has eyes on Zach because he looks great in the suit. And he tells her, like, oh, I'm seeing somebody right now. But does that mean that you're not going to, work hard for me? She's like, no, I'm still going to work hard. Because, again, baby girl ain't stupid. She not about to get, so interested in him that she going to mess up her getting her commission check. Come on now. So let's just jump right back on over to this foolishness of Sabrina and Maurice in this bank situation. So Sabrina gets off the phone, right? And Maurice is over here talking about some Q, you're shaking. Q, you're this, that, another. And like Q's going off, right? My whole thing is this. I'm like, Maurice, why are you still trying to be so endearing and caring about Q? This man has put a gun to your head. Why I wouldn't care how shaky he is? Like, I don't understand this. So next thing you know, Q ends up walking Sabrina around to the other side where Maurice is, tells his friend to go check the back, and then he tells Maurice and Sabrina, oh, if police come, then basically y'all dead, and he ends up going out the front door. Y'all, what was that? What was that scene? I don't understand. He ended up not getting any of the money, and I don't understand how he decided, oh, I'm going to run out the front door, right? Keep in mind, he ran out the front door. His homeboys ran out the back, right? So you have Sabrina and Maurice talking. And Maurice is like, so what was that code that you gave her? I mean, that you gave the lady on the phone. And she's like, the robbery code. You would know that if you would have read your handbook. I'm just like, again, how does Maurice work at the bank? Maurice needs to be fired. Straight up. Especially considering he knew Q. Sorry, Maurice, you're losing your job. I mean, let's not act like we did not see Set It Off when I can't remember her character name right now, when Vivica Fox's character got fired because she knew the person who was robbing the bank. That shit real. So then you have Sabrina asking Maurice, like, so what really happened? He didn't want to talk about it, but then he has to go ahead and say how he hooked up with Q the night before. Next thing you know, Q put a gun in his head, and that's how all this got started. And she tells him how he needs to be more careful and all this stuff. And then here comes the police, y'all. We literally hear the sirens. 2 seconds later, you have police officers walking through the bank talking about oh, we have 45 police officers surrounding the perimeter of the area. We're definitely going to catch them. Are you? Because I don't understand how this was written the way it was written. I don't understand how Q and his homeboys just magically decided to leave. It doesn't make any sense. And then for the cop to come in and say they ran out the front and back door, like, how did you know which doors they ran out of, considering y'all ain't caught them? Just curious. Who was watching them to know what doors they ran out of? You know what? Again, this is Tyler's writing. Let's go ahead and move along. All right, so let's hop on over to Danny. She is at work. And first of all, I must say that I miss her and Zach having conversations at work. Just throw that out there. But she's at work, and that guy, El Fuego, he ends up coming up to her little booth that she works at. And honestly, their conversation meant nothing to me. Because the only thing that we learned was that back in the day, he thought that they hooked up. Really, they didn't. He was just rubbing on her thighs. And he wants her to come down to the club. He said he's going to pay for everything for her and her girls. A table, parking, everything. He's going to pay for all of it. And he's making all kind of money. And she'll think about it. That was pretty much that whole conversation summed on up. We don't need to go any further. But I do have a question for you guys. Have you guys watched All the Queen's Men? I think that's what it's called, on BET Plus. Is it good? Should I watch it? Let me know in the comments. But let's go ahead and move on. All right, y'all. So we hop on over to Karen's hair salon. She just got finished doing a client's hair. And as the person is walking out or whatever, you have Pam saying, "Oh, girl, you slayed her hair or whatever." But I don't know how you going to survive because half the people who have booked appointments, they've canceled. Everybody's going to Isaiah. Okay, I'm trying to follow along with this whole Isaiah took her clients storyline, but it's not making any sense to me because when we first got to Karen's hair salon, she had a full staff of stylists. Did she not? How is it now Karen only has herself? Because Pam don't do hair. And I understand the concept of, oh, Isaiah took some of her clients and he's doing their hair out of his mom's basement. Did he take the other stylist too? Like, I'm not understanding. Is he charging them booth rent to rent out a spot at the basement? Because it's not making any sense. Now, let me tell you what we could have done to really make a full circle moment here. Now, Karen had credit card fraud happen to her because someone took her card or whatever, right? Instead of making it some random person who was supposed to be a client, why wasn't it Isaiah? It should have been Isaiah to where he basically took her card and bought like hair equipment or something. That would have made more sense. That would have been a bit more interesting if it was this Isaiah character. But no, we have Karen who is in this shop by herself being the only hairstylist. It doesn't make any sense. Because if that's the case, girl, you need to go ahead and close that place down and get you one of those little suites that people be having and cut out the foolishness. So Pam is like, well, do I need to be, looking for another job? Do I need to, find something else to do? Because how am I going to get paid? Considering you only got a few clients coming in. But of course, Karen assures her, like, no, I got it. I got some money that I can, I got it. So Pam, she's like, oh, the money that Zach gave you. She's so nosy. My God, Pam is nosy. But basically, yes. So she's going to, use the money that Zach gave her to, try to keep her business afloat. And I completely that makes sense because that money came right on time. Oh, she has that same concept in her head. And now she feels like, oh, let me go ahead and give Zach a call. Baby, Zach still got her phone number blocked. I laughed so hard at that because I'm like, honestly, it needs to be blocked because you calling him for foolishness like this phone call right here. So she ends up calling him from the work phone or whatever. And she's like, you still got me blocked. And he is like, oh, I didn't even realize that you were still blocked or whatever. So she ends up telling him how grateful she is that he gave her the money because, she's going through this hard time at work. He's like, oh, I'm glad that I was able to do that for you or whatever. All right, cool. The conversation should have ended right there. Oh, no. Karen decides to say, oh, well, can we go out for dinner? I just want to talk to you. And he declines it. And I'm like, yes, because that is the only way either one of you will move forward is if y'all decline each other's offers. Okay? I love the fact that Zach is able to try to move on. Like, he really is trying. However, I hate it that Karen's character is stuck. She's so stuck on Zach. And it doesn't help that now Zach has money. Because if Zach was still broke, she would not be feeling this way. Let's be honest here. If Zach was still the broke guy who was working at the airport, she wouldn't care. But now that Zach is coming into money and he's able to be a provider, do all these things, now she's looking at Zach. But I'm like, girl, let Zach go and focus on what Karen needs because clearly Zach ain't it. Let's go ahead and move on because after that, she leaves the shop. She's going to go cash that check. And Fatima ends up coming to see the property that Zach is looking at. And he's like, can't you see a bedroom over here and a kitchen over there and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, it looks like just a bunch of beams to me. But sure, that's the vision. I'm supporting it. And one thing I will say is that Fatima is very supportive for Zach. And my only question is what happens when she doesn't have to continuously say, oh, good job, Zach. Zach, you're doing great. Trust yourself, Zach. Like, what happens if she decides not to be that big of a cheerleader anymore? You know what I'm saying? But we'll see what happens with their characters. I don't think that's going to happen. Um, I also find it interesting that Zach tends to tell Fatima like everything that he's planning on doing. Like, oh yeah, I think I'm gonna put 50% down and all this stuff. And Fatima's like, whoa, like that's, a lot of money to put 50% down for a house. And he's like, well, I really want to make sure that it's paid off. And I'm like, okay, I really want Zach to be successful in this, you guys. I really do. I just hope that none of this backfires on him. Um, but yeah, besides that, they ended up, flirting with each other because Fatima says she has to go back to work. I said, girl, I know you do not drive. Hopefully it wasn't a far drive, but I know you do not drive all the way over here to come to this house for a good 3 minutes and then leave. All right, girl, I guess. Let's go ahead and move on. Y'all, we get back to the bank, right? And Karen is walking into the bank, and the police officer says, oh, ma'am, you can't come in here right now, right? First of all, if there was a robbery at the bank, please know the whole bank would be blocked off. Karen would not be able to come anywhere near the doors of the bank. But let's go ahead and move on, because Sabrina then says, oh, no, sir, I know her. And he just lets her pass. I said, what? This is not, what? Like, if there's a robbery at the bank, all because the manager knows somebody, that don't mean nothing. There's a full investigation supposed to happen. This girl should not be able to come in here. But whatever. So she goes to Sabrina so that she can cash this check, right? And Sabrina ends up looking at the check, and she's like, oh, this is like a lot of money coming from him or whatever, so he gave you the money. And she's like, yeah, Zach gave me the money. And Sabrina is realizing now that Karen is still interested in Zach, versus when she asked about Aaron, it was just like, oh yeah, Aaron, he cool, he alright over there. Like, no enthusiasm, nothing. However, Karen does end up telling Sabrina that he asked her to marry him. And Sabrina's like, he did what? Like, she was kind of caught off guard because she felt like how we all feel. That's a bit soon. Hell, y'all not even in a real relationship. So how is he asking you for marriage? How does that work? So Karen is like, I just said we're going to take it a day at a time and then we'll just figure it out. I'm just like, girl, as much as I like Karen and Aaron, like, he's fine, he's whatever. But, like, that whole marriage asking, I just didn't like it. First of all, I feel like he's the type of guy who would actually propose to her, like, bending knee and all of that. And secondly, what's the big rush just so that you can sleep with her? Like, really, really, dude? That's what we doing here? Because at the end of the day, y'all not even together. Y'all not. So let's go ahead and move on, because once Karen, walked away from the bank, she ends up calling the other girls and telling them what happened to Sabrina. So they plan on meeting up after work at Sabrina's house. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this little last bit. And that was, Hayden is all behind Fatima's desk. Okay, he flipping through pages and all types of stuff. Andy comes in and is like, what are you doing? He's talking about, I was looking for Fatima. Okay, she on a run, so what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, well, I just made a phone call. Sir, you have a phone in your office. Why are you in her office making a phone call? Come on now. So Andy is like, listen, Fatima handles a bunch of confidential information and you don't need to be up in here. So she ends up escorting him out. And of course he's like, oh, so you're suspicious of me, but we work at the same firm, all this stuff. Bye, Hayden. As he's walking out, we see Fatima walking up or whatever. And Andy is like, oh, so you had an extended break or something like that. She's like, oh, well, do you need anything? And Fatima, she's like, walking to her office. And Andy is like, no, but Hayden was in your office. And she's like, why? And when Andy is like, I don't know, he just said that he was looking for you, but like he had been there for a while. You already know. Our girl Fatima was pissed off. So now she's going to go see Hayden. So when she storms over there to go see him, basically he's just like, oh, I just wanted to see how you were doing or whatever. And she tells him, yeah, of course, to basically leave her alone and not come to her office and do all this extra stuff. And he like tells her before she walks out, it's like, oh yeah, before you ever come into my office, you gotta knock first or whatever. And like this whole thing with Hayden is like ridiculous at this point. Because it's funny to me how he was trying to be Captain Save-A-Ho when Andy was going through stuff with Gary. Y'all remember when he like blocked Gary's car so he couldn't follow Andy. However, the same antics that Gary be doing was like the same way how Hayden is. Like Hayden is manipulative, he's nosy, he keep trying to get all into Fatima business. I just don't like this man. I'm so ready for Hayden to go. But let's go ahead and move on. All right, so let's go ahead to this scene with Sabrina and Maurice. So they go back to Maurice's house. They have a conversation over drinks. And basically, Maurice is very vulnerable, saying how, he's lonely. And he basically let, all this stuff happen with Q because he was lonely and he wanted companionship, even though he knew that it wasn't right. And he goes on to talk about how, he's feminine, but at the same time, he's fat. He's not the guy that the other guys go for. It's crazy because it's the same thing that a lot of women go through. When you are the curvier woman, a lot of guys tend to only go for slim women. And he's letting it be known, like, hey, same thing happens in the gay community. If you are a plus size person, especially him being more feminine, that's not the type of guy that they want. They want the guy who seems like Q or the guy who has the six pack and all this stuff. And unfortunately, that leaves people like Maurice feeling very lonely and feeling like nobody wants them. That's so terrible. Within this conversation, though, I did like the fact that Sabrina listened. She was more of a friend to Maurice, to me, than she has been to her actual homegirls. Just throwing that out there. But within this scene, I will say that with Maurice being so vulnerable about how, he didn't have love from his parents and how, his 30-second thrill with these guys, that is, he's letting that try to fill the void even though it never does. I just really want Maurice to probably go see a therapist. And I also want Maurice to actually find a really good guy to date. Because we've been asking for Maurice to have a real love interest for how long, you guys? What, 3 seasons we've been asking for Maurice to have a real love interest? However, Tyler gave us Q. So hopefully moving forward, there will be some guy soon, and possibly by the end of this season, that, sparks Maurice's interest. Hopefully. We'll see. Y'all, so we get to the very end of this episode or whatever, and oh my God, the white girl who Calvin was messing with, she comes out the room butt naked and is standing in the doorway of the refrigerator, right? And freaking Maurice's mouth is wide open. Like, I know this heifer didn't. Oh, we got hit with another one because next thing you know, Calvin comes out completely naked. I'm like, what are you trying to cover yourself up for? Because Sabrina has already seen you, sir. What are we doing here? He did not know that Sabrina and Maurice were there. But I'm like, Calvin, how did you not hear them talking? How did you not hear the door close when they came in? Are you kidding me? But you know what? I was ready for this because, like I said on my last review, Calvin has kept this little white girl in the cut just in case things don't work out with Sabrina. But you already know in the next episode, he gonna try to explain himself. Ain't no explaining, Calvin. This should be the last straw. Sabrina, this should be the last straw with you and Calvin. There should be no more. No freaking more. You guys, that is my review. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye, guys.